Today, one of the incredible moments straight from Ukraine's frontline conflict zone, how Russia is trying to stop Ukrainian drone attacks using nets, but to no avail, and Kyiv's men are increasingly using first-person drones on the front line. With skilled pilots inflicting heavy losses on both troops and tanks, near Bakhmut, Russia has strung nets over some roads to try and stop them. But video shows how Ukrainian pilots were easily able to dodge one of them, and ended up destroying a Russian tank which caught fire and burned up. Russia is hardly the first time has tried to improvise its defenses. Cope cages were built on tanks early in the war to stop Javelin missiles, but they have proved almost entirely useless at protecting against them. While in terms of personnel, Russia's daily personnel losses have surpassed 1,000 for the fifth time in the last 7 days, according to Kyiv's latest figures. In its update on Tuesday, Ukraine's defense ministry said that Russia had lost 1,250 troops over the previous day, taking the total since the start of the war to approximately 468,720. The latest daily total is the fourth day running that Russian losses have topped 4 figures, following Kyiv's announcement on Monday of 1,320 the previous day, 1,096 the day before that, and 1,124 on April 27th. Over the past week, the spike in the daily tally, which includes both those killed and injured, follows a push by Russian forces in the Donetsk region, following their capture of the town of Avdiivka in February. It comes as Kyiv awaits the delivery of military assistance approved by U.S. Congress. According to Kyiv, there were 1,040 Russian casualties on April 25th, and the tally over the last week has been 7,660. This is a daily average of 1,094, almost twice the mean of 588 over the entire course of the war, signaling how Russian losses have increased significantly in the latter half of April. In March, the 1,000 daily figure was surpassed 9 times, 13 times in February, and only 4 times in January. An accurate number of Russian losses in the war is difficult to ascertain, with Ukraine's tally higher than other estimates. Moscow has not updated its official number of losses revealed in September 2022 as just under 6,000. However, a British estimate has come close, with UK Secretary of State for the Armed Forces Leo Doherty saying on April 27th that Russia had personnel losses of 450,000, which, like the Ukrainian figure, includes those who have been killed or wounded. Nazar Voloshin, spokesman for Khortytsia Operational and Strategic Troop Grouping, said on April 25th that 85% of Russian losses of personnel and equipment took place in the eastern direction of the front. On April 26th, independent Russian media outlet Mediazona, along with BBC Russian, confirmed they had the names of 51,679 Russian soldiers killed in the war, an increase of 1,208 since its last update in mid-April. The outlets emphasize that the actual figures are likely considerably higher, since their figures only come from public sources such as obituaries, social media posts, and reports by local authorities. Its tally includes over 3,400 officers, with 395 holding the rank of lieutenant colonel. On the other hand, the ultimate goals of Russian forces pushing westward from the captured fortress city of Avdiivka remain unclear, according to the Institute for the Study of War, ISW, as Kyiv tries to stem the Donetsk Oblast offensive and prepare for a larger summer push. The Russian grouping that seized Avdiivka in February is now pushing into rural areas west of the city, in what independent think tank ISW has described as a 3-pronged drive seeking to penetrate new Ukrainian defensive lines established after the loss of Avdiivka. Russian forces have the opportunity to choose among multiple tactical directions for future offensive drives near Avdiivka, but it remains unclear where they will focus their efforts in the near future, the ISW wrote in its Monday evening update. Several prominent mill bloggers claimed that Russian forces are conducting offensive operations near Karamik to advance toward Arkhangelsk, but are also trying to advance west from the Ocheretin area toward Sokol and southwest toward the Novoprokhovsky-Novoselivka-Persha line, the ISW added. ISW continues to assess that the continued Russian stabilization of their salient northwest of Avdiivka presents the Russian command with a choice of either continuing to push west toward its reported operational objective in Pokrovsk or trying to drive northward to conduct possible complementary offensive operations with the Russian effort around Chasiv Yar. Chasiv Yar has for weeks been a center of fighting on the Eastern Front. The city sits only 6 miles east of Bakhmut, which has long been a hotspot on the Donetsk front line, even after its fall to Russian forces in May 2023. Chasiv Yar, now abandoned by almost all of its pre-war residents, was a vital staging point for Ukrainian forces fighting in Bakhmut, and the city sits on a hill with commanding views over the surrounding area. This was partly why Ukraine chose to fortify the settlement after Moscow fomented rebellion in the Donbass in 2014. Chasiv Yar was home to an important military hospital and later served as the headquarters for Kyiv's joint forces operation against Russia and its local proxies. The city Chasiv Yar also a gateway to the cities of Kramatorsk and Sloviansk, both strategic-level objectives for Moscow's forces in their bid to capture all of Donetsk region. Pokrovsk, on the other hand, is around 26 miles northwest of Avdiivka city. It sits at the junction of 2 major roads heading to the city of Donetsk and to Bakhmut, as well as a railway heading through Avdiivka. A successful drive all the way to Pokrovsk would expose the southern flanks of Chasiv Yar, Kramatorsk, and Sloviansk. Meanwhile, with Russian forces continuing to solidify their positions northwest of Avdiivka, a war-torn town they captured in February, they now have choices on which objectives to pursue. Ukraine has repeatedly warned that Russia seeks to capture Pokrovsk, southwest of Bakhmut. But according to a new assessment from the Institute for the Study of War, a Washington, D.C.-based think tank that has followed the conflict closely,